What is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports to help give you the edge for this 4-game NBA slate. Cannot wait to break it down. If you guys want to be entered into the $25 giveaway that we give away every single Friday on stream, please like, subscribe, and also comment your favorite overall GPP play for the slate. If you are brand new to this channel, we provide both free and paid content for all daily fantasy sports across all sports. If you could please show your support by hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course, smashing that like button for all of our future NBA content. If you would like to know more about becoming a better DFS player and taking down that big GPP, head over to www.patreon.com/dgfantasy for more information. On Patreon, we give advanced cheat sheets for all DFS sports on DraftKings. These cheat sheets include updated projections, ownership, and our overall favorite plays from slate to slate. We take it a step further by teaching you how to play fantasy sports like a shark, by showing you where the best leverage spots are to put you in the best spots to take down tourneys. Also included is our private Discord chat where you get to talk over the slate with everyone, including our coaches, to help build your lineups. Now let's go ahead and dive right into this NBA 4-game slate, but first you guys know I have to go over some Patreon success here. We had some great success over the weekend, had a couple of GPP takedowns. This was a close to first place finish in the million dollar maker, 352nd out of 201,000 people, which is absolutely insane. Turned $20 into 400. We had a small GPP takedown with a near same lineup, $10 into 158. Going down the line here, we had another takedown, $5 into 71st out of 100 people. Something I always preach on Patreon is always play the small entry GPPs. Gives you a better chance to win, gets you a higher ROI overall in the long term. If you're playing these crazy $1 million maker tourneys every single weekend and that's the only contest that you're entering, you're not going to make money in the long run in DFS. Some GPP takedowns here on FanDuel, $5 into 25, $5 into 30. So yes, we do cover some FanDuel success as well. $76 into $250. So more GPP takedowns, and then $5 into 100 again. Another small GPP takedown. Just absolute crazy success, and that wasn't even all of our screenshots. We have a bunch of them always sent to us in our Patreon Discord chat, and also some MMA success to wrap it all up. So this week, we will be covering the MMA slate on Wednesday. We'll be covering all the NBA slates as well as the the playoff slates for NFL. So guys, stay tuned. We have some big stuff down the line. And specifically for today, we won't be covering the early slates on YouTube. We'll be covering them on Patreon, just not here on YouTube. This will be the 4-game main slate that starts at 7:30. So if we take a look at the starting lineups here, we have Milwaukee without any injuries. With Brooklyn, we have Claxton, Dinwiddie, and of course LeVert out because he was traded. Right now, Kyrie Irving is questionable. That will definitely shake up things in Brooklyn because this is the highest paced game on the slate. A very, very high paced game. And I think it contests with one of the highest paced games overall to start the season. With Dallas, we have Finney-Smith, Kleber, Powell, Richardson out. With Toronto, we still have Alex Len out and McCaw. With Houston, we have Dante Exum, House, Thomas, and John Wall still out for them. And of course, without James Harden. And then with Chicago, we have Satoransky's questionable. And then with the Lakers, we have LeBron James questionable. And then Dudley also out. Now, knowing all the injury news, let's go ahead and switch over to the slate. We have Milwaukee and Brooklyn, the very first game. This is the game that you guys should be stacking if you're deciding to stack a game, and where you should find some overall value in both the studs and value plays. So let's go ahead and start at the top. First of all, I do not get the pricing on the Milwaukee side. Everybody's going to be on the sexy picks on Brooklyn. They're going to want to take James Harden. They're going to want to take Kevin Durant, and especially if Kyrie Irving doesn't play, but both of those two guys are going to stand out. But let's not get it mistaken, guys. On the other side of the ball, we still have Giannis, 10.4K, coming down in price tag. We know in competitive matchups, a game where they are favored by only 2 points, projected to score 120 points, he is the cheapest, one of the cheapest of all the studs. We have James Harden, the most expensive, and then Kevin Durant right below him. But Giannis has a higher usage rate, at least when Kevin Durant and James Harden did play in their very first game. Let's take a look here at the usage rates. 37.1% and Kyrie Irving 34.9%. Giannis is right around James Harden's usage, and we know he's a do-it-all player. So on both the defensive end, the rebounding, all that. So I think Giannis in a pace-up matchup in a game where they are favored is probably my favorite stud out of these two games, and most likely my favorite stud overall on the slate, which is why I made him the thumbnail. But some of these other players stick out, like Chris Middleton at 8K is going to have to step it up in this game. He's going to have to if they're going to want to win this game against Brooklyn. This should be a very good matchup to watch. Can't wait to watch it. But I think Chris Middleton's also in play. I also like Drew Holiday at 7.2K. All of these guys' price tags are very, very appealing. I think this is going to be a shootout. It should be. It's going to be the highest scoring game on the slate, and it's also going to be competitive. So I do like Giannis. He's by far my favorite play. Switching over to the Brooklyn side, yes, you're going to probably have to take one or the other, James Harden or Kevin Durant. One of them is going to have a ceiling game. They're both in the pace-up spot. If we take a look at the usage, James Harden did get a 37.1% usage rate in the very first game. He played 40 minutes, 1.91 fantasy points per minute. I'm not saying it's going to stay that way, but we get a good idea of what the usage rate is going to look like. James Harden, Kevin Durant, pretty split in usage, 37 to 32%. I think that will come a little bit down on James Harden, and then they'll meet somewhere in the middle. But again, he does average more fantasy points per minute. I think he's going to be the primary ball handler going forward, at least without Kyrie Irving. If Kyrie Irving is back, that's going to mess things up. It's going to be very confusing. I really don't know what's going to happen there, at least for that team. Kevin Durant, 1.47 fantasy points per minute. Still not that bad. If you had to ask me which one I'm going to prefer, if Kyrie Irving is out, I still do like James Harden at 10.8K. Based on what he did, we have a very small sample size. It's obvious that he likes his role here in Brooklyn. Kevin Durant's price tag did come up to 10.1K. Not necessarily in love with that. I still do like him for GPPs. Kyrie Irving, if he does play, I'm not going to be on any one of them. I just think the usage rate is going to be so split between all of these guys, at least in cash. But for GPPs, you have to take one of these guys. Another guy that does stand out, the only true center for this team is going to be DeAndre Jordan at 4.8K. He's only projected at 24 minutes right now, but he is literally their only center, other than, I guess, Kevin Durant. If he slides down this center, he can get some rebounds, stuff like that. But they're going to need DeAndre Jordan here in this matchup against the tall Milwaukee Bucks. I think he's going to be playing a bigger role, especially in his matchup at 4.8K. He averages just over a fantasy point per minute, so I do like his price tag. I do think he hits it, and he's also one of the highest value players on the slate at 6.1 point per dollar value. So I want to make it very clear that the very first game here does have some of my favorite plays, especially the pay up option tonight. Luka Doncic, a sneaky play here for GPP's 11K, has been averaging over 2 fantasy points per minute with all these current injuries off the court. If Porzingis does play, I'm a little bit less off of him. Right now, he is technically questionable. I know he's not showing the tag here, but again, 8.2K. If he does play, don't like him. Only projected at 23 minutes right now. All these other guys, we have to see if they're going to be in or out to really decipher this picture. I probably will only like Willie Cauley-Stein, but that's if he plays 28 minutes. His price tag did come up. Pretty much the only guy that I'm looking at in terms of cash is going to be Luka Doncic tonight. With Toronto, we know Alex Len is out and Boucher has been playing out of his mind. Literally the highest fantasy point per minute player on this entire roster since Alex Len has been out, and he's been an emerging star here for this roster. All these guys have been playing very good basketball. Siakam at 8.4K, Van Vliet averaging 1.13 fantasy points per minute at 7.9K, playing 37 minutes. All these guys are good options, but Boucher is the biggest benefactor for these injuries, and right now I have him pinned at a 5.9 point per dollar value. I think he might be a little bit chalky, so we're going to have to pay attention here, especially with the depleted front court of the Dallas Mavericks. So keep your eye on Boucher. I think he's going to be relatively chalky. 7.1K is still very cheap for a guy that's going to be playing starter minutes at the center position. Going down the line here, we have Houston. Christian Wood at 8.9K got that heavy price bump because of all these current injuries, and especially without James Harden. I still have him at a 5.2 point per dollar value. We don't know what the minutes are going to look like. We have a lot of pending injury news here. Sterling Brown, Daniel House, DeMarcus Cousins is probable. I do like him as a GPP option, but again, we have to sit back and kind of watch. The only guy that I can really talk about is Christian Wood. He's the only guy I have input for projections right now. A 5.2 point per dollar value. He averages 1.46 fantasy points per minute with all these current injuries off the court. If he does play 32 plus minutes, I actually do love him still at this price tag, still undervalued at 8.9K. Going down the list here, Chicago, no, way too many people back, and the price tags are way too expensive. 9.5K for Zach LaVine is very expensive. I get that this should be a competitive matchup. It's only a 1-point spread right now, but these guys are just GPP plays. Not cash worthy whatsoever. If you have one of them for a last minute spot, I don't hate it, but again, marking it at 6.7K, Wendell Carter Jr. at 6.5K is going to be the most expensive price tag we've seen all season for them, especially with all these injury news back for them. Last but not least, we can move on to the Golden State Warriors. I actually do have my eye on Draymond Green, 5.2K, projected at 30 minutes, so he's now playing full minutes, okay? They're going to need him to show up if they're going to stay competitive in this matchup versus the Lakers, so I do like his price tag. One of my favorite mid-range value options on the slate. Draymond Green, 5.9K. Andrew Wiggins, 6.6K, not a bad GPP option. Wiseman, 4.6K, got a price decrease and then had a little bit of a price increase. So at 4.6K, I can get behind him and also Draymond Green. And Steph Curry's always a GPP option at 9.8K. If they want to stay competitive at all whatsoever, it's going to be through Steph Curry. Definitely one of my favorite options here on this slate for GPP. And then the Lakers have no interest here, but I do love Anthony Davis's price tag at 9.3K. It's always one or the other. It's about picking the higher score between the two, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I'm going to take the lower price guy in GPPs, but I do like both of them. And these guys have their minutes spread out way too much for me to have any love for them in cash unless there's a crazy injury news coming out before lock. But again, guys, there's no really good value plays right now for this slate. Lack of value all over the place, so we do have to wait. I will pin a post in the YouTube section below if there are some injury news that does come out before lock, and we will also going live before lock. This slate does start at 7:30, so we'll be going live around 6 o'clock, so stay tuned, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course smash that like button for all of our future NBA content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.